Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and this is episode number 29. Feeling so fine. Putting some time into your acting careers. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I'm going to do a couple of listener reviews. Shout out to Travis Moonstar, Drama Star 416, Lindsay Schubert, and Alia Author. And then a little shout out to somebody who's forwarded an email to me from Dana Lynn. Thanks, Dana Lynn, for your super kind words. I can't stress enough to you guys how happy the iTunes reviews make me. So today we have on the podcast Kate Siegel. We talk about her struggle of hating the audition process, like I know so many of you do. It just like kills your soul. To then creating her own projects, and then now to being a series regular on a Netflix show called The Haunting of Hill House. She is a series regular on that show. So we talk really candidly about what many would say is like an unfair, quote unquote, advantage that Kate has, which is that her husband and creative partner is already a successful writer and director. But I don't want you to tune out, because I can tell you one thing I know for sure, and that is that everyone has an advantage, and often you just can't see it for yourself. Maybe you're like really tall, or you are really short, or you're a veteran, or you're like a really incredible dancer, or you speak another language, or maybe you have dual citizenship. Every actor I know has something that they can use as an advantage over everybody else. And I guarantee you that when you get famous, people are going to complain that it's not fair because you had an unfair advantage. And what you have to do is sort of look at the advantages that you have and use them to your advantage instead of focusing on the advantage that somebody else has that you don't have and being upset about that. And a really good example of that is, like I went and worked local hire in New Mexico, and that was really great for me. And you could say that's an unfair advantage, that I have family, that I was born and raised in New Mexico, and I could use that to my advantage, but I used it to my advantage. And a lot of people don't. So you have to find out what angles you have and then use them. All right. I hope you're on your way to an audition.
Audrey helps actors because they don't know anything.
Hi, everybody. I'm Audrey Moore with Audrey Helps Actors, and today we have...
Hi, I'm Kate Siegel.
Wow, what a great voice.
Thank you.
I'm so excited now to edit your voice. Some people come on and I'm like, oh, because I don't think about people's voices until then I'm listening for it. You do voiceover?
No, I don't.
You don't,
actually.
Yeah. Well, not yet, you guys. So we are going to talk today about creating your own projects, which is something that you have gotten into in the last 4, maybe 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about the evolution of that. And let's just give them a little bit of history. So we know each other from an acting class, and you tell everybody sort of about where you are in your career right now, what you're working on, representation, maybe auditions that you would have had before doing this thing that you're doing now, like how many per week, like give everyone sort of a general sense.
So right now I am a series regular on a new Netflix show.
Great.
And I'm super happy with my reps. And after 10 years of crawling through the desert, I have hit an oasis.
Yes.
I'm not auditioning now because we'll get into this, I'm a terrible auditioner.
Right. I have that on the list. That's something I didn't know about you until you told me maybe sometime this year. So you were getting, though, how many auditions would you say?
I would say I was going out 2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, good.
And was booking
None
nothing.
Of them. And theatrical auditions or commercial auditions or a combination?
All of it. I recently had my first national commercial after 10 years, and that was after going out 2 or 3 times a week.
Yes.
For 10 years.
I remember.
And it was, looking back, I almost admire myself for being so bullheaded.
Yes.
Because all of the facts pointed to give up, give up, give up.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
And let's tell them just a little bit about your category, because I think you're in a very challenging category. I think a lot of people think that when you have a certain look, just so you guys know, you can Google her. She's very attractive. And a lot of people think that actually, when you're of that category, that it's easier for you. I know a lot of character actors have the point of view that when you're sort of the leading lady or leading male category that it's easy. And I know a lot of actual leading men and leading women who feel the same way about their character actors. Like, oh, if I just had like a funny face and a weird body and a interesting voice, then I would work all day.
Yeah. Well, it's funny sitting here now. The scripts I read, there are about 5 or 6 roles for various character actors, but there's generally only one lead.
That's so true.
Unless you go into horror, where you can have 4 or 5 attractive females.
Yes. So how did that happen with your evolution of representation? I know a lot of people really struggle with getting quality reps and would have like died to be going out that often. So what do you think happened that they continued to send you out that much regardless of your results?
Well, I think what happened is I take good headshots and I am really good at a meeting. And so I would use that to my advantage before and after auditions, where I would just, and it wasn't that I was stinking up rooms. I wasn't getting bad feedback. I would
Always
get
did a solid job, I'm sure.
solid job.
Yeah.
Great girl, not the part. And so, but I just could not catch on fire in a room. I couldn't. So I wasn't burning any bridges. And I think my agents always appreciated my self-awareness.
And you booked a couple, sorry to interrupt, but you booked a couple of television gigs here and there.
But the ratio was, the booking rate was so low that it almost felt like nothing. Oh, how do I say this without sounding like an asshole? A lot of them required me to do nothing but stand there and be pretty.
I think you can say that. I mean, what you listen to, she loves the podcast, you guys, she's a big fan. So, you know, I'm all about transparency. And the reason I do this is for people to just like talk, like, let's talk shop.
All right. So a lot of the breakdowns were things like, girl pretty enough to make Jennifer Love Hewitt jealous.
Right.
And so a lot of these required me to show up, be pretty, stand still.
And what I would say about that is that everyone has that for themselves, like whatever that category is for you. But the grass is always greener, right? So like the character actresses are just like, I just want somebody to think I'm pretty, you know?
Yeah.
And then the beautiful actresses are like, I just want somebody to take me seriously and give me like something to do, right?
I get, yeah.
It's like your way in.
Yes.
And everyone has like their way in that's usually pretty close to what you walk in as, unfortunately. And then why that's upsetting to us is it's a lot of confront.
Yes.
Right. And I know a very mutual friend of ours who said she was in a spot a while ago, and she said she showed up and everyone was like very charactery, and she was like, everyone's quite charactery. And then she thought, uh-oh, I'm also in this spot. And she was like, no,
Here we are.
It's just like the truth of my life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the hard part of it, I think. If you aren't willing to take a good hard look at yourself, it's going to be a longer road for you.
That is so excellently well put. I would say it was a longer road for me because of that.
Me too.
And that's part of what is tricky and why I do this podcast, is because I feel like most people aren't honest with you and most people don't tell you what they see. And a lot of people who are actually reflecting to you are people who are not in the business like now. Like they're sort of in it, they're on the outside, but like really present now in the business with what's on the heartbeat of things now. Those people are really hard to get to actually give you a reflection of what they see.
But it's also, it kind of doesn't matter what they see. Everyone is going to have an opinion. Everyone is looking at you through their own filter.
Yes.
And so then you need to balance that with kind of what you said, a fuck you attitude that is, cool, you see me like that, I see me like this, because there is no hard work leads to success here.
Yes. Yeah.
Hard work can make success easier or can make the room better for success when it shows up.
Yes.
But there is no pattern.
Some of the people that I know who work the most have the least work ethic because they have such a I don't care attitude that they just sort of show up and they don't care. And
people love that.
They fucking love that.
We were
guys.
talking about the red carpet faces we were doing.
Yeah.
And that is like, you and I work very differently. We admin very differently. We run our careers very differently. And ever since I was like a tiny baby actress and I showed up and Milton could sell us on his checklist, it was career concept. And for my whole life, I knew I wanted it to be a sailboat, which is something from a distance that looks like it's just floating. It's easy. It's fine. But you like up close, running a sailboat is a ton of hard work.
It's a lot of work. That's hilarious.
And so it makes me so frustrated because I was a theater kid in high school and I've always been too much. I'm a lot.
Yeah, me too.
And learning that after a certain level, being quote unquote cool, which isn't like being hip or like a popular kid, but being chilled out will get you as much work as an actress as your skill.
Yeah. And I would say that what is particularly impressive about that discovery for you is that that's very authentic to you.
Yes. It works
and like,
for me.
this is what I try to tell people is like, don't try to act chill if you're not a chill person.
But don't
like,
try to act chill. Become more chill.
Yeah, become more chill. But yes, don't try to act chill. Become more chill. But also becoming more chill is something that happens because you just figure out you know more shit than you thought you did. And you're actually quite prepared for this.
And in the spirit of transparency, it's very easy for me to be chill when I'm a series regular.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was next to impossible for me to be chill when I couldn't book a job.
Yeah, and when you have like your co-star that you booked this year, and you're just like, please, God, don't fuck it up. There's 3 lines.
Right. And then like any... AD assistant comes across and is like, oh, we'd love to have you back. And you hold on to that for months.
Ever. We're coming back.
I'm going to be recording.
Come on. Well, they said they want me to come back.
They said that it was great working with me.
It like literally was nobody on set. But like, you don't know that. And
just hold it in your heart.
It's so good. I want to sort of paint them another picture of you. So you're a mom, you're a wife. I just like everyone to have sort of the full scope because I know a lot of you are out there who are parents and spouses, and that definitely adds to the dynamic of your life. And you and your husband work together a lot, and a lot of the projects you've created have been co-created with him. And some of you are with people that aren't in this business, and that has its advantages and disadvantages. And some of you are with people who are in this business, and that's just sort of a personal preference. I'm with somebody who's in this business, and it makes my life like way easier, you guys. So let's talk about auditioning.
Ay. We can talk about it. What is that? The 10,000 hours rule?
Yeah, 10,000 hours rule.
I am an expert at beating myself up.
Oh, good.
I've spent 10,000 hours doing it. So I'm trying the opposite just to see what happens.
Yes.
What happens is my desire to win overrides my ability to act.
Oh, yes. Well, you're very competitive.
So competitive.
She's so competitive, you guys.
And I've tried everything. I've tried meditation. I've tried beta blockers. I've tried every single class that anyone's recommended. And what happens is my fight or flight mechanism kicks in and I cannot drop in. I can't. And I will be able to do it in a director session, and I'll be able to do it after a meeting where I feel like the person already wants me to win. But if I'm in a sit in the waiting room, go into
all
the
room, girls who look just like you. Yeah.
I'll miss it. My focus will be totally off. And so it just kept happening over and over again. I like to solve problems and I like to be in control. And so a lot of what would happen is I would get these sides and I would create these huge backstories, and I would have so much fun creating the story that I would not read what was on the page and deliver the pizza, which is what has been required of me for 99% of my career.
Yeah, that's
deliver
right.
pretty pizza. My husband has said this about me, and it's true. When I wasn't working, every 2 or 3 years, everything in me would spill out in the form of doing something, doing a play. And that's when I would get a boost in my career. I'd get new reps. I'd do something like that, which would be work that I would create myself. So I did a scene in acting class, and the teacher responded to it. And so I slowly but surely chipped away at him until he agreed to do the play. And then that play got me a job, that got me a job, that got me a job.
Yes.
And that was what was working for me. And so I was like, listen, what if I just accept the fact that auditioning isn't my way in?
Absolutely.
Am I going to stop? No.
Right.
But like, that's it. Sorry, that's the new normal for you, Kate. It's not going to be auditioning. What are you going to do instead?
Yeah. And I want to say too, like, that is really important, because what that is surrender. And like, I had a similar moment with myself of like, where I was like, I'm going to wait tables forever. And I was like, this is my life. And then I just decided, like, if this is my life, like, is that going to suck, or am I walking away? No, I'm not walking away.
No.
So like, all right, now what?
Yes.
And I know so many of you struggle with that. And can you talk anything about what you feel, because I really feel like being from theater really is a part of it, because when you're in theater, you're used to experiences, like tangible experiences, even theater auditions, right? Like I just interviewed a director in New York, and he said, no, they always have actors that are reading with you. And it's another experience. Then you have chemistry reads, and you're doing all this sort of stuff to sort of make it more accessible to the actors. And then when you're doing theater and you do scene study, you have props and you have things that you get to like work into, because people don't just like usually sit like you and I are doing and like stare at each other and talk unless they're in an interview, right?
The first thing I needed to realize was that theater is an actor's medium and film is an editor's medium.
That's correct.
And so it's not your party. It's not my party.
And that was really heartbreaking for me to discover. I have to say, when I first learned that, I was like, I literally left like the first thing I ever shot and was like, oh, like if they could cast Lysol, like a bottle of Lysol, and like make billions of dollars off of it, I would fucking cast a bottle of Lysol.
This is why the cool, cool is not the word I want to use.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, the attitude. The chill attitude really works. And what they want about it is not this, they want to be chill or they want someone who doesn't care. If they want someone who can sit quietly for 12 hours without freaking out.
And what I would say, even to add to that, how it was described to me in a way that I was like, oh, that's so true, is ease. Like they want somebody who's easy.
Yeah, and that it's not about you.
Yeah, it's not about you. I'm always saying that to people. I'm like, it's not about you. Like, I think it's easier for you and I because we now can see the other side.
100%.
And so now once you can see the other side, you're like, oh, nobody cares about me. Because I remember being so upset. Like, they put me on pin for the co-star on Monday, and now it is the next Friday.
Oh my
And I have still not heard. And I'm supposed to shoot on Tuesday. And like, I just don't understand, like, because I came from theater where I was like
burning down on stage.
It's like on fire.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares about your 2-line co-star.
No.
They will fucking call you the night before at 11 o'clock because they know you'll show up and nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Like,
and guess
nobody
what?
cares.
You shouldn't care either.
You shouldn't care either. But when you're coming from a thing of like, save me acting career,
God,
right? Then
hurts
that's how you...
much.
It hurts so much.
It hurts
It
so
does.
much.
It
I am
hurts
so
so
sorry,
much.
everyone who's listening. It hurts.
It does.
So much.
I mean, but also it's so freeing. Because now I think that's part of why my auditions got so much better, was because I was like, oh, none of this fucking matters.
Oh, God.
And then I was like, oh, well then, like, whatever. You know, and I don't have most of the information. Like, even if I have a lot of information, I don't have most of the information. Like, you just don't, nobody knows what we're doing.
See, that's where you are, like, in this nirvana place that I can't get to because it still hurts me.
It's upsetting.
It hurts. It hurts all the time.
Yeah.
And you just kind of have to decide, like you said, this is it.
This is it.
If I told me 10 years ago I was going to be a series regular, I would assume that I was in less pain. The answer is no.
And that's a really painful lesson, I will say also. And I had the privilege really of watching a couple of people ahead of me in their careers have that discovery so I could watch. And then I was like, oh shit. Well, so if nothing's solved when you get there, this magical there that I was trying so hard to get to.
Yeah.
That, and I'd say serious 3-month depression when I had that discovery, like serious, like I spent my whole life trying to get to a place so that when I got to said place, I would be happy to realize that everyone I know who had gotten to said place was exactly the same person, but maybe with more money. So I was just like,
and money doesn't hurt.
And money doesn't hurt. Like, it's great to have some nice shoes, but you know what I mean? Like, doesn't solve much for long.
No, it does not.
It does not.
So
you discovered auditions.
I knew
not
it was
the way
not
to
going
go.
to work for me. And really, I was trying to solve this. I was self-taping, watching my tapes, doing everything I could.
Yep.
And I too felt that I was good but not great. And I maybe had a delusion in my heart that I was a better actress than what I was seeing on tape. So like that Ira Glass quote.
Yeah.
You should link that to people
sure.
that says there's the leap between when you start creating and what's in your mind. And it takes so long for your talent to catch up with your dream.
Yeah, I would say like that's my intention for everyone in 2018, which I'm starting the podcast with. We're recording this before the first one goes out. And I say to people, I want you to start thinking beyond just the next job and then the leap to your Oscar.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Because that's what actors think. They're like, I got to get my agent, I got to get pay to be an actor and then win my Oscar. And like nothing really is filled out in between then or after then. And there's a whole life to be lived as an actor between and above and around all of those stages.
Right.
But wait, Kate, wait. I have to interrupt you.
It's time for Shit Your Reps Won't Tell You. Real advice from real agents.
So I've been talking to some agents recently, you guys. The agents, they listen to this podcast. They talk to me. It's very good. I'm so cool. And one thing that we have discussed is the communication that you have with your agents. Now, most of you sort of veer towards either being completely radio silent or you're like all up your agent's butt. Okay, so I need you to find like a happy medium that is still authentic to you. But just know if your agent doesn't hear from you for months, that's a bad sign to them. It's a sign that you're sort of checked out of your career. And I know a lot of you guys feel like you don't have anything to say to your agents because you're just sort of mad at them because they haven't like performed miracles for you because you're not famous yet, even though you have like no credits and you have no reel. But, you know, that's how that is. And there's a lot that you can communicate to them no matter what level you're at. If you're a phase 1 actor and you've just discovered that you've been bumped up to like Groundlings level 3, or you've been moved up into the advanced class at some studio, that's a really great thing to communicate to them. If you are shooting this weekend a Friends like a web series, just let them know. Just let them know that on your side you are working, and continue to express to them what you're doing on your end, because it just reminds them about you, that you care about them and you care about your career. If you're phase 2 and you've got like some co-stars under your belt, maybe you just saw another casting director this weekend at some party or something, you know, go ahead and talk to them about that. Maybe you read a script, maybe you read a pilot that you're excited about, and just let them know like, hey, love these pilots, love what so-and-so is doing now. Not with like a interest in getting you in, but just like talk to them about the business, talk to them about what you're doing, where you're going. Also, if you're a phase 3 actor and you're working a lot and you're doing stuff, like they love to hear about you if you're making them a bunch of money, because that like makes them feel good. So, you know, talk to them about the projects that you want to be looking forward to and things like that. Any communication that is both professional, kind, interested, friendly is a good communication. Okay, don't ignore your agents just because you're a little bit grumpy about them. Okay, love you guys.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
So you decided at a certain point it's not going to happen this way. So let's talk about creating projects.
Right. So what happened to me was I was going through a really tumultuous time in my life, and my personality in the room was dropping. I was just depressed. I was crying, grumpy, grouchy, chip on my shoulder. My emotional life personally was taking over my ability to be professional.
And this is going to be very familiar to a lot of you because you start to become your own black hole.
Yes. And so what was great girl, not for the part, was what's going on with Kate? I feel like she needs to figure that out. Can you, like, I don't want to see her for a second. Like, it was really fucking up. So my agent, who we share, we went out to dinner, and we'd been together for a while, and we really liked each other. Shout out to Brittany for sticking with me. She sat me down and was like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
You're freaking out. And I told her about what was going on in my private life, and she's like, whoa. She was like, well, I think you need to like maybe write something or take a break because you're ruining relationships right now. And I was like, and as you can imagine, this put me under the table.
I'm sure, yeah. But it's what you needed.
At the time, she was honest, and it's what I needed.
I just want to say about the value of a good rep and why it's important that you be treating your reps well all of the journey is because it's very valuable that you had somebody who is willing to sit you down and have this conversation with you, and not only speaks to her, but also speaks to you.
Yes.
And that you had created something that she was willing to be honest with you.
Yes. I think I had been self-aware enough with her that she wasn't afraid of breaking me by telling me the truth. So she tells the story and says that she was expecting me to go away and write something like Girls and come back with like this lighthearted, like sarcastic comedy about, you know, the end of relationships and things.
Yes.
And what ended up happening was I turned to the person who was the best writer I knew, which was my husband, who was not my husband at the time. And we worked on something, and it turned out to be this low micro budget horror film called Hush, which is about a woman who feels like no one can hear her and who feels trapped, which was something I was working through and how to get out of that situation. And at the time when I was writing it, I didn't know I was processing
that part of your life. Yes.
But we talked about what was scary. And on the other side of that, and this is where my story differs from a normal story, which is that my husband had some previous relationships that he was able, first of all, we had an idea that hadn't been done and that was easy to do cheaply in one location.
Always good. Cheaply in one location, you guys.
And then we had previous relationships. I had recently, by the grace of God, managed to like tap into one great audition for another Blumhouse movie where I got all the way to the director's session. And so I had a good relationship with Blumhouse.
Great.
Mike had a fantastic relationship with
he had
Jason
just done a
Blum.
movie with them.
Had just done a movie
that
with
was
them.
very successful.
And he went in about a week after he and I came up with the idea and pitched it to Jason, and he bought it in the room.
Yes.
And so that was the difference here. The magic ingredient was him.
Yeah.
So I don't want girls or boys who are listening to this to think that it was this magical story. Without the relationships of my already successful partner,
Right.
I would not have gotten this.
I remember this ex-boyfriend that I had a long to do, you guys. And I was telling him about some drama of something that I was trying to get cast, and he's like, well, that's really stupid. And I was like, okay. And he said, it should go to the person who's best for the role. I was like, well, should is such a fascinating word. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is, because I have lots of friends who are the sibling or the child or the spouse or the whatever of somebody who helped them find their way in. And I would just say, like, I know that they actually put more pressure on themselves than anyone else, is what I've learned to deliver, because they have such a feeling of like, I'm here on this merit.
Yep.
So now I have to prove my actual merit.
Well, so what happens is, hello to all those people who are sitting there judgy. I'm with you.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm embarrassed of it. I feel ashamed at times. I feel like, did I deserve this? I feel I don't belong here because I was dating somebody, but I'm here. And once I was there, I worked so hard.
Well, you've always worked hard. And this is what I would say is, like, I, for maybe like a year, was super jealous of Maggie Gyllenhaal for like her career as my twin. And then the fact that she like grew up in the business. And I felt like, well, that's just so not fair. But the fact of the matter is like, I fucking am so proud of Maggie and I love her work, and she works her fucking ass off. And just because she got started a few rungs higher on the ladder than I did does not negate what an incredible, I think, actress and woman she is.
Yeah.
And that she earns it and has earned it and continues to earn it. However you get in, like, do you take it seriously? Do you earn it? Do you love the work?
Yeah. I think that's true. I think I struggled with jealousy so much, like at the beginning of my career. Like envy was eating me from the inside out.
Tell me about that.
I wanted it so bad. I wanted it so bad, and I thought I deserved it, and
entitlement, you guys.
I had a lot of entitlement, and I had an attitude thing, and I was just so jealous of so many people that it hurt again. Like, I talk about the pain of it, this kind of divine dissatisfaction, the pain that moves you forward because you couldn't possibly stay in the same. I couldn't stay there.
Right.
It hurt too much, and so I don't really have the answer for somebody who looks at what I have in my bowl and goes, that's too much, that's not fair. Like,
Yes.
I'm sorry, is I guess what I would say.
I would so
feel
say.
you and I get it. And I'm sorry because I know how much it hurts what you're feeling when you feel that you deserve it and you work hard and you have ideas and it's just not fair. And I'm like, yeah, it's not fair. I'm sorry.
It's not fair. And it's one of the hardest pills to swallow in this business. And I so agree with you. Like, what does it get you? Now that I'm on the other side, I just see, like, that's true of all businesses and that's true of all things. And if you decide that it's worth your time and energy to be upset about how somebody got theirs, then whatever.
And I also would say, It won't always be like that. You won't always hurt like this.
Yes.
I promise that. If you just keep going.
I will say this, which is a Milton saying, which is that you can't have that which you begrudge.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very big for me because I used to begrudge a lot of people's success and how they got there.
Yeah.
And in having that, I could not then have it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's not fair, you guys, that Jesse helps me with most of my auditions. Like, that's not fair because he's really great at helping me. And I book a lot of them because of his perspective on story, on me in that story. And like, that's not fair, but also it's fair.
Yeah.
You know, that's the partner I chose.
Yeah. Find yourself somebody you love that you can collaborate with.
If
there's
that's
no
important
rule
to
against
you,
that.
there's no rule against it. That's such a great way to put it. So you decided to start working on this movie. Now, had you written any of it yet, or you just had the tagline?
We had the tagline, and but the thing is, it has a really good hook.
Yeah.
Which is, woman lives alone and is stalked by a serial killer, but she's deaf and mute.
Yeah, great.
And you just know what that is right off the top of your head. You can picture it. You've got some cool ideas about it. And
can you tell me then, so Mike had done this one movie. Did he have anything else sort of like in the works?
He had, at the time he was working on, he had a couple of scripts he was selling. He had, I don't know if he had already agreed to do Ouija 2 with Blum, but he had that relationship, and we had a relationship with Trevor Macy at Intrepid, and Trevor believed in me, and he was able to go to the bat and with Jason and say, I actually think Kate can do this.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think she can do it to the tune of $5 million, but she can probably do it to a $1 million movie. And what? We lose $500,000 each. It's bad, but it's not
the end
of production companies.
Right. Yeah.
And so they made a cost benefit analysis. They really wanted to get on Mike. Trevor and Mike were very close. Jason really wanted to get on Mike's good side. The idea was great. Jason really believes in storytelling above all.
Yes.
And so he was really committed to telling the story.
So those of you who don't know what Blumhouse is, so they're basically known, I mean, they've expanded, but they're like the horror production company in town.
But what you don't know is they also did A Normal Heart, and they did Whiplash.
Well, I was going to say, yes, I know that, but others may not.
Sorry.
But yeah, no, that's what I mean. They've expanded, I'd say, in the last like 4 years, and they've done, and they're continuing to expand. And are they now currently co-producing with the Netflix project?
No,
they're not.
That is Amblin and Paramount.
Great. So you get this money, and like how long between the yes to production?
9 months.
Which is so fast.
Insane.
Usually it's years. And so then let's talk about, you cast it, because I know it was you, it was Mike, and then really great friend.
So we attached me to the writing deal.
Great.
So that they can't make the movie without me as the lead. And
good.
I agreed to
and
do it.
And whose idea was that?
That was Mike's idea.
Great. See, and that's the benefit of having somebody who already knows how the inside works. Because he had the just insider knowledge that if you didn't do that, then suddenly you could slip out and somebody else could take it.
But let's not pretend that was easy, because that was a violent negotiation.
I'm sure.
Quote, an executive, unnamed executive, said to my agent, if she wants back end, she can get it from her boyfriend.
Oh, you guys, I love this business so much.
And that's knowing that, like, this is not a large cat. Like, that was going to get back to me. They just wanted, I believe he wanted to cut on the way out. Just this exec wanted to, like, slice me just a little bit. Because he, too, was like, why does she get to skip the line?
Then, so 9 months is really fast.
9 months is really fast. So I get cast. John Gallagher came through Blumhouse. They really wanted to work with him. And
who was the serial killer.
And then we cast the rest within actors we already knew and wanted to work with.
Great. And then how long was the shoot date?
18 days, nights.
So fast.
6-day weeks.
And how many hours of footage did you have? Do you know?
1,800 hours.
And how many hours is the film?
1 hour and 50 minutes.
Just so you guys know. The reason I have Kate on is because I really want you guys to understand, like, when you're like, I'm going to make my own project, because learning how to audition is hard. Because I have friends and loved ones who have spent so much time trying to make a project happen because the auditioning isn't getting them the results that they want to get. And so in a fit, usually, of passion,
Yep.
they decide, I'm going to make my own fucking project, right?
Yep.
It's not even usually like somebody, a rep sitting you down and being like, I want you to, it's usually somebody in a tantrum is like, well, nobody appreciates me. I'm going to make my own thing. And then the usual path, just so everyone knows, looks like, I'm going to make my own thing. Here's the script. Eventually somebody reads it one day who maybe cares. Then maybe somebody comes on to help you finance, and then still usually never sees completion.
But one of the things that can happen when that happens, as I've been through many projects that didn't go when I was having my
Actress fits.
is that when you are distracted by something, your auditioning gets better.
And I would say that is 100% true. I have noticed, whether that's people having kids, whether that's people finding some of their little habit or passion that is exciting to them, whether that is making their own projects, that it just calms you down. It gives you that sense of cool that we were talking
Yeah,
about.
because
Gives
you
a
are
sense of
like,
ease.
oh, I have to leave set for 20 minutes to go jump to this audition. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about it. And while you're at the audition, you're like, oh, come on, let's go, guys.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
walk in, do your thing, you leave, and you go back to the thing you love to do.
Because you're actually super trained and well qualified for that 3-minute audition.
Yes.
But it's all the neuroses around it that tanks you.
Lysol is trained
Yeah,
and qualified for that
exactly.
3-minute audition.
So for you to let go of all of your bullshit and actually be present in those 3 minutes, because like, why not? What else are you going to do? Is something that then is accessible to you. That's usually less accessible when you're just like panicked in a circle about these 3 pages that you have coming in a day.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say the fight that you had to be cast in it is like real, you guys.
Oh, you're
And
going to fight. Get ready to fight.
you are likely not going to be in it. If it's your first thing and you're not like already somebody, you're not going to be in it. And I think that's the thing that's really hard for people to swallow. And I've seen a lot of projects that just can't see the light of day.
Or write it, know yourself and write it so only you can be in it.
Right.
Like I knew when I was writing Hush,
Yeah.
I knew I had a couple of things I could fall back on. One is I can do stunts.
Yes.
I have very little care for my own safety and I'll
Yes.
throw myself in and out of windows.
Yeah.
And 2, I am good at acting without words.
Great.
I have a very expressive face and it is something I can do. And so I took those skills and worked on them to become part of the character, knowing that when the day came and I was shaking with nerves and I didn't know if I could do it and I was
Yes.
terrified as I was,
Yeah.
I knew that these were kind of base skills that would show up. Also, by
even
writing...
still- you had to fight.
Oh my God, I fought so hard.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Also, writing a woman who was trying to be terrified
Yes.
wasn't very helpful because I knew I was going to be terrified for
Yeah.
18 days that I was going to mess it up.
Yeah, and I will say to that too, that's a trick that I used at a certain point with my auditions. Was I was so freaked out in my auditions that I was like, I'm just going to do everybody like they're freaked out.
Yeah, they're all
And I actually started booking a bunch because I was like, used it because I was like, I'm so freaked out, I can't say any of these words. And I started like booking all these girls who were like so freaked out they can't say any of their words, which is not typical of Audrey. So it was sort of like, great. I was like, well, I'll just be this like freaked out little girl all the time.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that's amazing. I see. I'm jealous of your ability to do that.
Well, I guess I just thought about it and was like, because I was in so much shaking. I would just like convulsing and shaking. And I thought to myself, like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. And I knew that I only needed a little bit of a bump to then get the confidence to go forward. But I needed to create that bump. And I was like, what if I just try Everybody's Freaked Out?
It's smart. It's very smart.
And I did.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yay!
So
Here we are.
you had that much footage. Then did you get a release or what did that look like?
So then we edited and
How long was the editing process? How many months?
3 months? Question
So
mark?
you shot for 18 days, edited for 3 months.
Yes.
Just so everybody understands the math of this process. And again, that's super fast.
Super fast with somebody, Mike, who is an experienced director and editor.
Right.
Professional for a decade.
Yes.
So he's working at top level
Right.
levels. And what was supposed to happen was that we wanted to go to a major festival like Toronto and everybody was saying we're definitely going to get in Midnight Madness at Toronto and then it'll be a wide release movie and here we go. And Toronto said, no, thank you. And we were like, what? No, thank you. But
that's my dream.
My dream. I was told my dream.
And it's gone.
Yeah. And so we all cried. So anyway, we arranged another screening where they invited other investors. And we got a handful of offers. People loved the movie. And Netflix blew everyone out of the water with money.
Oh, so great.
And so that people could make their money back. And I continued to make only peanuts when everybody else involved got money.
Well, that's the role of the beautiful lady, is that she does so much work and she gets the peanuts.
Because if I want back end, I can get it from my boyfriend. And I didn't get back end.
She did not get the back end, you guys, that she was promised.
Not the one I was promised.
Not the one she was promised. The one that was agreed upon, maybe, but not the one that was promised.
No back end.
Yeah. So it's interesting, like your relationship with feminism and all that, right? So like, do you want to say anything about that in your experience with all of this?
I will say that I was treated as a professional and an equal the entire way through this project.
Right.
And the reason I have such a grudge about that line coming out during negotiations is because it was the only time I felt I wasn't being respected. There were actual doubts, and there were fair doubts about whether or not I could carry a movie.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And there were fair doubts about why I was being suggested for this role.
Of course.
And there were fair doubts and questions that needed to be answered. But I thought that line was only crossed once into real disrespect by that unnamed executive.
What do you want to say to people who are really frustrated with auditioning and the process of getting and or executing auditions in a way that gets results about creating your own projects?
First, I'd like to say, I'm sorry, auditioning is the worst.
It is.
And it's probably the worst way to gather actors for
and everyone knows it, by the way. Casting directors know it, producers know it, directors know it. For whatever reason, we haven't changed the system, but everyone knows it's like the worst.
Yeah, because nobody, like, they don't care about us. It's not about us.
And it has nothing to do with what you're going to do on set most of the time. Right.
And it's working well enough.
Yes, that's right.
For them. It must be. And well, so what I would say is, I'm sorry. I know that it hurts, and I know you're working really hard, and I know you're trying. Yeah. And I know that it feels like you'll never know the answer. And what I would say in terms of making your own work is find something that excites you and distracts you in the way you want to do it. So you don't necessarily need to make a movie. Go and find the play you want to do and rent a black box theater. Go and make a performance art piece. Go and work in an escape room or an immersive haunted house. Find something that sets you on fire again. Because what for me, the auditioning was just siphoning away my creative energy over and over again because I just felt like a loser. I felt just like...
Yeah, and I'll say that to you guys. I know some of you... I remember having one of my friends who was like, I mean, if I could get 73 auditions in 1 year, like, I'd be booking all these jobs. And then he got it, and then he didn't book any.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh... And you think it's hard not getting auditions? Just know it's even harder when you're getting them.
Good auditions
and then
you
don't
know
book
you're
them.
right for.
Yeah.
The same thing would happen to me. My computer would ding at 6 p.m.
Yes.
And it would be an audition for the next day or the day after, and it would be amazing.
Yes.
And I'd be like, this is perfect for me. And I'd spend the next day blow drying my hair and picking out my outfit and memorizing my lines and being so excited and working hard. And then I would walk in and just shit on the floor. And then I'd leave the room and I'd hate myself.
That was my experience for a long time.
And I was just brokenhearted.
I could not get called back on a theatrical audition to save my life.
Yeah.
Like, to save my life, you guys, I couldn't do it for years.
Yeah. And as when you start to figure out what works for you, what makes you creative, that pain fades away, kind of like childbirth. But if you and I sit here for 2 minutes and go back to that place, it feels like nothing will work out and the world is against you. And if you don't get the green light on La Brea, that's a sign. It's a sign. It is, and you should just quit. Everything felt significant. And so I would also say to people, it's not about creating your own work. It's about finding something that fills you back up. That could be a short film, or that could be working with your friends. And most of it will fail. Like so many of mine failed. So many beautiful
And that's what
projects.
I would just interject to that. Like, if you know that it's likely going to fail, is it worth the fun of doing it?
Yes.
Because it's likely going to fail.
And it's so fun.
And for some of you, it's worth it. And for some of you, you're like, because if your intention, but so for some of them, their intention is like the fuck you, right? And so that's still like another darkness that you're going into. And it's like, well, I'm going to show them. And you're still coming with all this ego and all this pride and all this anger. Like, I'm going to show them, I'm going to make this thing. And it's like, okay, well, pause. If you know that the thing that you're going to show them with is just going to like,
even if what you have is fuck you and anger and I'm going to show you, make a boxing movie.
Yeah, totally.
Make a fuck you angry
movie.
movie.
I would say that's the smart thing that you, just like you were saying, for me to have the perspective of like, every girl I do is just gonna be freaked out from now on. Like, that's really smart for you to say, like, yeah, if you want to like just beat people up, like make a boxing movie.
Yeah, go make your boxing movie. You'll have so much fun.
Yeah, make your boxing short. You'll get it out.
Yeah, and the people will be like, wow, that passion, that energy.
Yeah.
Like, I was so terrified in my life. I was terrified and I couldn't hear anything and I felt trapped and I felt like I wasn't being listened to.
Yes.
And we put that all in the movie. And now people go, wow, she really looks terrified that like, no one will ever hear her.
Right.
And so find your movie. Don't just, I would have loved to be in a movie where I got to wear a sparkly dress and lay on a piano while someone gave me a foot massage. I wouldn't be
still
particularly
waiting
good
for that
at
movie. Still waiting.
Still waiting.
Yeah. What do you want to say to the person who's in the thick of it right now and creating their own projects and it seems like doomsday?
You're doing great.
Good.
You're doing it right.
Good. Just do it more. I mean, the thing you said about the Ira Glass quote, which is so correct, of like, don't expect that you're going to be awesome at it right away. Like, the first one isn't supposed to succeed out the gate. And any story that you've heard about somebody like making something awesome out the gate, I promise you're not hearing the whole story.
Oh yeah, the press stories are so
I can't only tell you, they're just all lies. And like, this is a really good example. Somebody could create the story about you that you were like, had a couple co-stars, and then you're in this movie that you like created with your boyfriend, and then you guys became, without the other half of the story of like who the boyfriend is, and then all that experience and a previous relationship that you had, that he had. A lot of it goes into it. And the idea that it's going to be success out the gate, no.
Yeah, just, when you're in it, there's so many people who are willing to give you advice, and so many people who tell you what you're doing wrong, and so many people who will just pile on. Just find the person that you're willing to hear. It's okay. You're doing okay. Because even those of you who have gotten to the stopping point where you just can't even work anymore, and you're just in your apartment drinking,
right?
Go through that too.
I mean,
sit in that, do that, and
it's all valuable.
Yeah, and let's take that to the worst case scenario. You've given up. You're in your apartment. You're drinking. You get a DUI. You go to jail. Write your script in jail.
Yeah, right. Plenty of time.
But so my whole thing is this idea, this LA pervasive nastiness that's like slimy, is this positivity that makes everybody feel less than. And there's nothing for an artist, for me as an artist, nothing more valuable than sitting in a negative emotion and spending some time maybe slightly detached going, what is my body doing? What is my voice doing? What does my face look like right now? So you can observe your emotion, and then when you get out of it, if someone calls you to act that emotion in the future, you have a strong recollection of real life experience, behavior, real life behavior you can create, as opposed to just thinking of when this terrible thing happened to you.
And I would say that's such a valuable way that you've actually turned like a really just hard part of this business into another part of the work.
It's all the work.
It is. I mean, the times that are really the struggles have been, to me, the greatest impetus for then the next push forward.
Sit in it. I know it's hard. I know it hurts. But prove to yourself you can stay in what you're feeling, and that you don't have to go on Instagram and look up inspirational quotes. And you don't have to.
I've already told them, like, I have a whole thing about inspirational quotes. Like, the more you're posting, the more I'm concerned about you.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah. But wait, Kate. Wait. I have to interrupt you.
Help me. I need some help.
And now it's time for listener questions.
I'm so scared.
All right, this question comes from Maggie. What's up, Maggie? She says, can you please explain your process when putting yourself on tape regularly? Who was reading with you, and were you memorized? Thank you, Maggie. All right, you guys. So you get on your Showfax account, showfax.com. You have an account, you have a subscription, because you all should have a subscription to Showfax. You can also share a subscription. So if you guys want to do that with like a friend, you can split it. You have the same password, blah, blah, blah. Makes it easier for you. So you take this Showfax account, and then what you do is you just start clicking on sides. So go to episodics, you can go to film, you can go to pilots, and just start clicking on projects. Maybe there's a show that you're interested in. Say you want to look at like JK9L, which is like a sitcom that's on TV. Okay. So you click on JK9L and it's a half-hour multicam. Maybe that's something that you're interested in. And then you just start looking at sides. So if you're a guy, you're going to look at sides for Tom. And so you're going to click on Tom and you're going to read the sides. And it doesn't even matter how long the sides are for Tom. That's what's great, because sometimes you're going to get 3 lines auditions and sometimes you're going to get 13 pages. You don't really know. So all of it is valuable. So you don't have to spend a ton of time looking, just get something to work on. Then you're going to print out Tom. Let's say that Tom's sides are 2 pages. So you print out Tom's sides. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to create for yourself an audition practice, just like you have a yoga practice, just like whatever kind of practice you have, you're trying to create a practice for yourself, a system wherein you get ready for auditions. Start getting good at it. So then maybe that includes working with somebody on it. So what I did for a long time was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I would go meet with a friend around town. And this is Los Angeles, you guys. Sometimes it's far. So that would be like at the time in which auditions usually come, which is usually like after 6 or 7. And it sucks because you have to drive or go someplace. If you're in Brooklyn, you got to like trek to a friend's place and you're going to have to go meet a friend and work some sides. But that's something that I was committed to because that's my career and that's my craft. So I would meet with somebody, different people throughout the week, and then I would work their sides and then they would work my sides, and we'd sort of trade for about 2 hours. And then I would go home and do like a little bit more work on my own, and then I go to sleep. And then I wouldn't even try to like get ready. I wouldn't do my hair. I wouldn't get in costume necessarily, but I would set up my iPhone on my tripod. You can find the whole kit on audreyhelpsactors.com. There is a self-tape kit that you can have all the links to and buy for yourself. It's not that expensive. And then I would have Jesse, sweet, lovely Jesse, would sit there and he would just do one take. It took 2 minutes, right, honey?
Yep.
It was like super fast. And the whole thing is that so many of us are really bad at the one take. And so I would give myself one take and I would just see how I did. And I really started to develop tips for memorizing lines, for staying in the scene, even though there was maybe like a sentence or a phrase that was really hard. I developed tips to like have that accessible to me in the audition. And I really just started to look at my casting. So then you've taped it, you have one take, and then I would just watch it. And I would say like, how'd I do? Did I bomb that one? Is that normal for me? You know, am I too big? Am I too small? Am I moving too much for that genre? You know, would I cast me in this role? And it's great. It doesn't even have to be a role that you would be cast in. Like, I found some of the most helpful things is when I read like male lawyers. I was like, yeah, I wouldn't cast me in that role. I would definitely cast like a giant, mean looking guy for that role, because you're looking at story. So that's what I would do. If you don't have the ability to work it with somebody in the evening, it is perfectly acceptable. And I would do this plenty of the times too, to just sit down and do your work. Like, I have an actor checklist that I have created for myself for auditions, and it helps me learn the story. It helps me check myself for my casting options that I don't usually choose. I go through it really thoroughly. It takes like an hour or 2. Usually by the time I work through that checklist, I have it memorized anyway, because I've really sort of dug in deep to a lot of the questions that are maybe not answered. And then if you don't have somebody in the morning to help you tape, yeah, a great thing is to, you know, record it on your phone and then Skype with somebody on your computer or FaceTime with somebody on your computer and just do one take. And you can do that with your friends. You know, you should have a group of friends that you're doing this with, that you're all sort of like working together to make this happen. Some guy said his mom does it, which I just like love to death. Get your mom to do it. You know, if you don't have a good reader, that's okay, because a lot of times you don't get a good reader and you have to deliver it anyway. So that's my process, A to Z. Good luck. Book it.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
What was one or two surprises of like the biggest surprises while you were shooting or doing the whole process?
I really wanted to do all my own stunts. I thought I was going to be such a badass. And there is a scene in the movie where I jump through a window.
Yeah.
And bounce off a desk and fall on the floor.
Yeah.
And the stunt coordinator and Mike were like, "Are you sure we could maybe get someone else with us?" And I was like, "No, I'm so tough. I'm a big girl. Do it now." And I spend a couple hours working with the stunt coordinator to fall correctly. And so that involves me falling. And then we do action, and it takes 3 takes to get that shot. And I am in some serious pain.
I bet.
And I was like, "Woohoo, I did it. Beers on the grip truck." And Mike was like, "That was setup 1 of 12. So there are things I just didn't know.
You just don't know.
And the same with that we slam my hand in a door. And what I thought with stunts is they do it so it's safe and it doesn't hurt. And no, they just do it so they won't break your arm.
We're going to have a stunt person on and talk about the stunt world because it's a whole thing.
Yeah. So basically, we had to slam my hand in a door like for about 4 hours.
It upsets me so much.
Yeah. It's I will always try to do as many of my own stunts as possible, but now I know what that means.
Really means.
And also very hard not to flinch when they know that how to act that kind of unknown until the pain happens, especially on take 15 when you've already had your hand slammed in the door.
I would just die. I would die. Like you saying to me already makes me like cringe.
It was so funny. I remember at one point I was getting choked and my head slammed against the floor. And I have to tell you, Chuck Borden is an A-list stunt coordinator.
Yeah.
He protected the hell out of me.
Yeah,
I was just doing what was required of the job. And I got up and I was like, "Mike, I can't take it anymore. My body, it hurts. Everything hurts. I'm sorry, I can't." And he looked at me just completely with the most support and was like, "You're in exactly the right place. Where do you think Maddie is right now?
Right, exactly.
Act into it."
Right.
And so that was really fun because my technique has always been outside in. And so the stunts helped me let go of some anxiety.
I love that because it's physical. It helps you get in.
Your breath is right there.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to look far. Any other surprises you want to share?
Oh, the grip truck almost always has a cooler with beer in it.
That's so true.
Yes. Become friends with the grips. They're the guys moving the lights.
Yes.
They're super cool guys.
Yes.
And they almost always have beer in their truck. And if you're cool, they'll hang out with you.
I'll also add this, that FX makeup almost always has hard liquor.
Yes, they do.
So if you're looking for a little snibby snoo in your coffee, FX department.
One other thing. Bring a book instead of your phone to look at between takes, because someone on their phone looks disinterested.
Yes.
Someone who's reading, people will come talk to. You seem like you're still kind of involved. And there are tons of books that are, that might have not necessarily a novel, but something you can hold that isn't a phone to distract you.
Yeah, and I would say let's talk about that. Anything that you want to tell people about being a lead on a show or on a set, and how you now handle yourself on set, both in a way that A, to project your energy, and B, to get the performance that you're looking for in your performance, but also to be the person you want to be on set.
Yeah. Well, I have a weird thing because I'm the director's wife.
Right.
So I have an added bonus of having I walk onto a set and everything that anyone thinks about the concept of director's wife is downloaded down onto me.
Right. Yeah.
So my rule is always, if you have the option of being right or being kind, be kind. I need to protect my space because I will talk and chat and talk and chat and talk and chat and it'll ruin my focus.
I'm the same way. For me, it's less focus, more energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm working on that, and I'm also still working on speaking up when something isn't right for me. I can be too accommodating because I carry my own judgments around, and I'm afraid of getting a bad reputation.
Right,
so I guess I'm not a great person to ask that because I'm still figuring that out quite a bit.
I think you are a great person to ask because of that. Like you are sort of in earlier stages of the sort of lead life, right?
Yeah, very much
And
so.
I think that's because I'm looking at that and really going like, what kind of person do I need to be for me and for my work? How can I be that person and then also be the kind of person that I want to be on sets? You know, the leads that I've had the graciousness of working with that I felt like where people were like, I hope to be as gracious and as, you know, lovely as that person. And also letting go of any judgments of any leads who maybe aren't as amicable, because I understand like people have a process and it's energy and it's a lot of time. And, you know, a really great actor is going to have whatever is happening in the scene or in the shoots before or after really affect them consciously or not. Yeah. That happens a lot. So there is a lot of protection, I feel, that I'm discovering that needs to happen on set.
Yeah. I think thank you is also extremely underrated.
Oh, so true.
Constant thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you all the time.
And I would say really knowing your face. I mean, one thing that you and I talk about a lot is that I have a really warm and friendly face and you have...
I am your dead girlfriend.
So for me, when I say like, I'm sorry, you know, this lipstick, I feel, is it a little off maybe on this side? Like on me, it's like, oh, let me check for you. And they're always like very amicable, but on you, it might be received differently.
It seems disingenuous.
Yeah, it seems disingenuous.
And so when I'm a little bit more forward about it, like my makeup's uneven, can I help fix that? Or even that, like I don't know how to do it.
It's hard.
It's weird.
It's been hard.
The thing is, I've been working with Stacey Witt on almost everything. And so she and I have no filter left.
But
we just
I would
yell at each
say
other.
that's also another added bonus that you get to now create is like, you know about you that people can take you harsh.
Yes.
And so then part of how you create then your career is, well, I'm going to work with the same people.
Oh, I need
so
to.
that my energy isn't expelled every time getting to know somebody in a makeup chair, but we already have a really great rapport of honesty and communication.
Well, I'm deeply insecure about coming across as bitchy or entitled. And so, and the more insecure I get about it, the bitchier I appear. And so I need to find a way to get past that with people. And normally I'll just call it out and be like, hey, this is going to sound bitchy because I'm too nervous to say this like a normal person.
Right. Yeah, good.
And so what I do is I spend a lot of time, I front load getting to know the people I work with, and I, you know, our set PA or key makeup and hair, and then their assistants and camera ops and all of it. I spend a lot of time at the beginning getting to know them so that when I need to disappear, they're not going to be like, she's so stuck up. She just got this job because she's sleeping with the director. And if they are, then I've already done my job and I've been kind, and that's on them. It's not on me. I often think two things at once. And so the second one that I think is, it's not really my job to worry about how other people feel about me.
It's not.
My job is to be professional and grateful and prepared.
Like I remember a friend of ours saying about the lead and what's hard about number one on the call sheet.
Yeah.
She's like, it's like welcoming people into your house all day. And I was like, well, I think I'd be really good at that. And she like laughed. She was like, you would be really good at that. And she's like, I've learned about me that maybe I shouldn't do one on the call sheet. Like maybe 6 is good.
Yeah, I'm 7.
Yeah, she's like 6 is good. Like I'm high enough that I get some good work to do, but not so high that the responsibility of the whole set falls on my shoulders.
Yeah. Our 1 and 2 are great at it, and they both do it different ways.
Yes.
And they've been doing it for years and years.
Exactly.
And years.
And that's what I hope to be one, and I think I would be good at it. And so I'm watching all the ones.
This is funny because I have learned that I thought so badly all I wanted to be was a movie star. I'm not sure that's what I want.
Yeah, I feel like it's less for me about the movie star and more for me, it's like let's be real, guys. It's really hard for me not to be the lead. And I mean that in the truest, deepest soul of my soul way.
Why? Are you jealous? Do you feel underused? Do you feel like you'll be forgotten about? Like, what is the core emotion here as opposed to...
Right. I would say if I'm not the lead, all of those things. Well, I think part of it maybe is that I want to stand out. I've always been a person who likes to stand out. And I think I feel like I have so much in me. And I feel like, I've always felt that way.
And it would be terrible if it wasn't used.
Yeah. But not even just terrible, like the hunger in me to express it is just ravenous.
What happens if the hunger doesn't get fed?
I'm just like, I think deeply depressed, feeling disempowered in my voice and expression is probably the deepest pain that I have. Yeah. Like if I express that. And when I think of like part of what my last year was a lot about is like, what are Audrey's talents? Like not just as an actress, but like as a person, like what are my talents? And I feel like so much of my talents are being of service to people and don't have a real thing about like that entitlement on the return. Like I just like helping people and making them feel better. Like I like that. And I think that is like who you want in your 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. And so just sort of realizing like, where am I best served? Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm very well served always have been very well served in a leadership position. I rise to the challenge.
It is interesting to me though, because you've had such loss. Like we're both girls who lost our dads. You've had a lot of other death in your family, and you have such a positivity about your pain. You take your pain, and as I sit here on your couch, I watch you as it comes to you. You almost jujitsu it and turn it into something that is expressed positivily. And I think it is both a skill, and I almost like it be like, what happens if you don't jujitsu and instead you like let it hit you, this understanding that we all have, which is we're going to die. And we may not have our hungers fed, and we may not win. And what does that mean? And to me, that's where I really stopped hurting as much, when I just accepted that I may not win.
I don't have a feeling like I may not win. And I also don't feel a lot of pain about that. I would say what I feel like what pains me is powerlessness and surrender to that powerlessness.
Yeah. But what a strange career.
But I love that. Yeah.
Right?
I
that's
mean,
your
but
favorite,
see, that's the
and your
thing
least
is
favorite.
like, is that I came to that understanding about it, that like, I'm a really capable, incredible person. And if I could have any career, I could have any career. Like nobody looks at Audrey Moore and goes like, well, if only she could do anything but act. Like that's not really ever been my case. So I had to come to a real surrender and an understanding that like, I desire that.
Yeah.
And here's what it is, the reveal, right? Like what's interesting when I watch, like, you know, I just did all my reels, and when I watch all my reels, my comedy, I'm like this like stupid sort of daffy girl and everything who like lives with her cats permanently and like has too many, and it's like every single role is like this girl who's like kind of dopey. She's never had a man. Like she's like, if she has, she's never going to see one again. Right. She has like too many weird animals and like that sort of is her vibe. And it's just been really interesting to go like, oh, that person that like I don't reveal very often. Yeah. Right. Well, and then she finds a way into the work. Right.
It's the comedy.
Right.
Is the extremity
of the tragedy, right?
Yeah, right. Tragedy plus time.
Right. And so then similarly in drama, I found that where so much of my credits lie in the drama is in she's like just kind of sad.
But isn't this the truth? Because we're all just relatives of the Roman Colosseum.
Right.
They just want to see us bleed.
Yeah.
And if they want to see us be strong and beautiful, they've got 22-year-olds for that.
Well, not only that, like the 22-year-olds, they don't even want to see be strong and beautiful.
Well, like there's like a handful of people we want to see be strong and beautiful.
But we want to see them crack.
Of course. And but this is when people talk about what do you have to offer.
Yeah.
I always think like the thing for me that becomes the most individual is pain, my pain. And it's not that means like I'm this morose wiener dog. Like I'm a very silly, joyful person. But the thing that really helped me was understanding was the stuff that hurt is what is most interesting now.
And so what I say to that is I definitely got that message, particularly with auditions, that they don't want the clean, they want the messy.
Ugh.
Like they don't want the shiny penny, they
but
want
I can't
the
trust
dirty.
them enough to show them that in the room, and that's not going to change for me. That's I
understand.
deep-seated
It
rule
has
of Kate.
changed for me because I've really started to understand like and see, this is where I'll get in like the difference in the two of us as different women is like, I so rarely reveal that part of myself that then in an audition, I feel like, oh, okay.
Oh, this is because you don't do it anywhere else.
Right. So then I'm like, here you go.
Oh, isn't that interesting? I feel, I guess it's very different. I don't think I will ever get to a place where I feel safe enough in that room. It just, I can't. I try. And that's why I can book when I know the casting director very well.
If you feel safe.
Or if I feel safe.
Right.
But I cannot yet create a safe space in an audition room for myself. So I can still do good acting. But there is no Kate there.
I would say that that's mostly been my acting experience, though, is reveal.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I hope you keep this in the podcast. It was.
Oh, I will. Yeah. No, I'm all about, I'm all about transparency. I really am. And I would say the times that I do the worst at an audition is when I have something personal that I can't let go of. And in the audition, it's inappropriate for it to go. You know, like the audition setting, if I like went in and like revealed myself, I would be like a crazy person in that particular audition experience. Right. Because, and people are like, well, just use it. And then in acting class, they're like, no, it's you would use it. No, if you broke down crying, like they would be interested in it. I'm like, no,
they definitely
they would not. They would be like, what happened to you, Audrey?
Like,
and they call your rep and they'd be like, I'm really worried. And your rep sits you down. Yeah. And it's like, maybe you need to write something.
Yeah. As someone who constantly was throwing chairs in audition rooms.
Oh God.
No, it was not cute. I was
like, we're
using
concerned.
Everything.
Yeah, she's using everything. And I've had that other experience with other actors that I've worked with when I know they were using their shit and they were giving it to me. And I was like, I don't know who you want to hit right now, but you need to not take it out on me.
Yeah.
Because this is not about what we're doing. And it's pretty offensive. Yeah. And now I've become like your therapy puppet. And like, you need to go into therapy and not have me be your therapy puppet in a scene. So there's something to me about then the work is like disrespected or a little tainted if it's too much in that world. So that to me has always been like the harder part. I would say where I was able to then get okay in auditions was not trying to be the sort of put together, organized, well-behaved, good girl that I am in life and bring that into an audition, plus also the dirt into an audition. I was trying to bring like the whole package of like, well, so you can see Audrey, like here she is. She's like gonna do great, clean, solid work for you and blah, blah, blah. And then she'll cry here. And then but she's crying because she really has this stuff happening. And then it's like, I couldn't like mesh the two, but I would say like the real evolution of my work in general is just about the reveal.
Yes.
But I would say it's interesting because you say like the pain, and I would say for me, I do gear towards the hope. And but that's also the difference in our essences and how we would be cast.
I don't know. I always come across in these serious conversations as being very dark and sad and full of pain. But I think of it as being authentic to me.
I think it is authentic to you. And I think like I have a lot of awareness about and that is authentic to me. Like, yes, I jujitsu pain to stay in hope, Yeah. But also I feel like, do I want to sit in this pain for very long? No.
I guess maybe in my experience, if I don't sit in it, it doesn't go away. I need to let it filter through. And like, because there is so much pain. And I also have quite a bit of joy that has come from luck.
Yes.
That, maybe there's guilt in that. And so I try not to be too invested in that.
Yeah,
because
that's
it was
interesting.
luck.
And see, I feel like I'm like, like I always try to be the light in the room. It's like, that's important. That's like a value set that's important to me. And also I'm good at it.
I'm always trying to get out of the room and back to my bedroom.
That's true. It's true. You are. You're always trying to get out of the room, and I'm like,
always.
Who needs a bulb? Anyone need a light bulb? I have some.
Sneak.
Yeah, and like your
grabs
little
bottle
pet
of scotch,
are coming out the door.
Yeah,
yeah, that's really funny. That's very funny. You want to plug yourself on social media?
Yes, I do.
She has a relationship with social media, guys. It's hilarious for me to watch.
Follow me on Instagram at Kate Siegel&Official.
Great.
And you can follow me on Twitter at K8Siegel.
Great. You want to spell your name so people know how to say it?
Siegel.
All right, we go to our 5 questions.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She's ready. Okay. Why acting?
I think it started because I didn't get enough attention.
Mm-hmm.
My mom always said I was looking for a fight, and acting has never given up the fight. It fights back.
I really believe that about most actors. It's what we were saying of like, I could do I could do so many things. And I feel like if you choose show business, it's actually because you're such a fucking ninja that you're like, I would just cream any other business. Like I'd annihilate it.
Yeah.
So I need to choose the one that is like the highest mountain, Everest, snowstorm, blizzard to climb. And just like fight all the way up to the top.
Just finding a way to live my life with Kate Siegel. It's about having to give her so many fights so that she stops destroying her personal life.
Yeah, see?
Like she just needs to go out and beat things in the professional world.
So funny. What is the best part about the business for you?
Hair and makeup.
Yay! I'm so down with that. Fucking hair and makeup and wardrobe. I like a good
all
wardrobe.
of that.
Like a dress up. I just really wanted to play dress up.
Yeah, there's no pain. There's no misery. There's no like, will I or won't I?
I love this jacket. Yeah. These shoes are good too. Yeah. What is the worst part about the business for you?
Auditioning.
Yes, auditioning.
No, the worst part about it is watching people who I think deserve to win, not win.
Oh, God, that's such a hallelujah to that. It's hard.
Yeah, and I sometimes try to get those people jobs and try to pull them along. But watching whatever universal, like there is this girl who we both know who I love, and I think she is one of the strongest actresses I've known. She's beautiful. She's hardworking. She cares about it. She has tried to get a part on this show a handful of times. And because of literally nothing that has to do with her, she keeps getting kicked in the nuts. And I hate it. Yeah. It makes me white hot rage because I can't imagine living with that because there's no reason that she shouldn't have what she wants.
To me, I would say that's when it became so much easier. I was like, oh, it's not about me. Nothing to do with me. And then I was like,
but it's not fair.
Yeah, I let go of that. Like the fair thing. I have to tell you, I've had the best relationship now with fair. I'm like, fuck fair. I'm so in the if you can't beat them, join them. Yeah. I'm so in the like, oh, we're not playing the fair game. Oh, let me roll up my sleeves. Yeah. I'm from Albuquerque.
Oh my gosh.
I'll play the I'll cut you game.
Button your top button.
Yes, my top button. So what do you wish somebody had managed to teach you or get you to understand when you were just a wee babe?
Quit smoking.
Oh, quit smoking.
And winning is not the same thing as being good at acting.
They're very different things.
They're often in opposition.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you mark it as winning. I think that's very fascinating.
Well, it helps me see it because I used to filter it through being a good girl and like being well liked or being, but no, none of those things are what I was searching for. I wasn't searching for that feeling. I was searching for the feeling of winning.
Yes.
And so
interesting.
But winning is definitely not acting well.
No, it doesn't have anything to do with it. Like when you win the part, it has nothing to do with you a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it has something to do with you, but not the years of preparation that you've put into the acting part to be an incredible actress for that moment.
Yeah. Or it's like you watch a scene and you can see one of the two actors in it is trying to win the scene as opposed to listen to their scene partner.
I know.
And I fall into that when I want to win a scene because I know it's written for me to like really have a good moment and like show my humanity and, you know, fight the good fight. And those are the harder scenes because what I need to do is stop trying to win and instead listen and be in a place and try to figure out what people do with their hands.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think because I come from the place of reveal that I'm never trying to win. I'm just trying to be like, okay, Audrey, can you not be in control of this entire scene? You know, like, can you just release control for 30 minutes and you can come right back?
I do that. I had a director tell me once just to stand still.
Yeah.
That was it. Stand still and cry pretty. And I hated it. I hated it so much, but he was so damn right.
That's the other thing is they're often right.
Those jerks.
Fuck them.
Oh, I need to ask you a question.
Yeah. Ask me a question and we'll do mildly interesting. Okay. Go for it.
All right, let's get something fun. What was your favorite pet when you were a kid?
My cat. This is legit true, you guys. The start of my life. My cat Bill when I was like 7 who then jumped off the roof and killed himself.
Bill couldn't take it.
My mom, I had to come home. And mom was like, oh, my mom's pretty sure he like was like, nah, and I'm done. And so I think like that's so funny. And I remember like I fucking love that cat, Bill. It's like your 7-year-old cat. You know, we like went to the pound and we picked him out. Nope,
Bill couldn't take it.
Died like 2 months later. So
oh my God!
I don't know if it was 2 months, but it was pretty quick, you guys. And my mom had to be like, because I was at my dad's house and I came back, and so she had to be like, so Bill jumped off the roof. He's dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Does that make you feel that maybe your house was worse than the shelter?
Yeah, clearly. Clearly. He was like, I'm out. Path of least resistance. I'm gone.
Yeah. What was your biggest heartbreak?
I mean, I think my biggest heartbreak. Oh, nah. My brother. Yeah. I'd say like watching my brother slowly die. And the powerlessness of that was probably my biggest heartbreak, even more so than my dad.
Mm-hmm. What was your greatest joy? My greatest joy
isn't necessarily a moment. It's an experience. And like my greatest joy is the creative, inspired problem solving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who are your top 3 directors you want to work with?
Such a good question. I really want to work with the Coen brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to work with Tarantino.
Mm-hmm. And as an aside, those were all white men.
Oh, always.
Just to point it out that
that's the thing.
That's how deep it goes.
I mean, well, not only that, because I even thought about K Biggie,
mm-hmm.
right? And like, but I don't feel her style is my style.
Yeah, but it's funny that like that would be the name that comes. Jodie Foster, maybe, who's been directing a lot.
No, there's not a lot. I mean, there's what's her name who just did the
Greta Gerwig.
Yeah, but not
Lady Bird.
Yeah,
but like it's hard.
It's hard to come up with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would say Greta Gerwig, Lady Bird. Yeah, and I would,
But this is how deep this kind of erasure of both minorities and women run is that you and I, well versed in this, can't off the top of our head just start naming minorities and female directors, except for the 2. Yeah. Or like James Wan. Yeah, you know, it's like you can't, it's not there for you in conversation. And I hate that.
I do too. Yeah, I should probably, because I've been asked that in press and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, and again, because press is a story.
It's a story.
The story anyone wants to tell and should be telling should be that you're the type of person who can name minority and female directors.
Absolutely.
And give them vision.
That's exactly right. Any more questions? Or?
No, that's it. I think I've done it.
Mildly interesting.
So this is mildly interesting.
I'm ready.
So my in-laws are Catholics. I'm Jewish. And we have great conversations, actually. They have taught me.
In-laws are Catholic.
Yeah.
Irish Catholic
right-wingers.
Oh, God.
And I am Jewish liberal. Polar opposites. We have a lot of great conversations. I'm grateful for them for teaching me you can actually have a conversation with a Trump supporter.
Okay, good.
But they were telling me about Jesus over Christmas. And did you know that the 3 wise men knew Jesus was the Son of God because of astrology?
Yeah, because of the lights in
the Star of Bethlehem. Yes. But they consulted with their astrologers. The same people who told me that, like, this is the week to go after your nuts or whatever they say. They're the ones who said it was Jesus.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Like the more you sort of open up that curtain, you know, like I remember somebody was telling me about all that, about how she went home and she like abbreviated Christmas to Xmas. Mm-hmm. And her family was like, don't you dare take the Christ out of Christmas. And I said, wasn't Jesus born in like June? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, then what are we doing? Like,
this was
if
part
it's all
of the
pretend,
thing.
then it's all pretend.
It is. So part of the thing is by knowing that, there are only a certain handful of astrological events that could have caused such a bright light in the sky, which is, I think it's Neptune and Jupiter being next to each other, and they're the brightest light in the sky. And it looks like that happened on like September 11th, 4 BC.
Oh, interesting.
And it was a great article. This was actually sent to me by my father-in-law, and I was just blown away by it. Very interesting to me.
Yeah, how much they know too. Like like the deep, deep religious. They're like, oh yeah, no, he was born at this date. And you're like, well then what's the Christmas thing?
Well,
and
it's
they're
because
like,
they had to get all the pagans.
Yeah.
And we had to convert people, and you convert people.
But the still continue, because I'm down with that. I'm like, when you're educating, you're like, okay, blah, blah, blah. But when you're like, no, keep the Christ in Christmas. I'm like, but it was was in the summer. Like, it wasn't. Here's my mildly interesting, you guys. Okay, hypnosis. I'm going to get super real with you guys. I have a hypnotist who worked wonders for me. Those of you who know, I had a lot of anxiety this time last year, and I was having lots of panic attacks. It got so bad. I had like 14 in one day. It was like completely paralyzing. I couldn't like move. Hadn't gotten them since like college, but lots of stuff occurred. And then I was having all these panic attacks. And sort of like as a last ditch effort, I was like, I need to get, it didn't last for too long. It was like a couple months, luckily. But I was like, I can't have my life be this. So I went to go to a hypnotist, finding that a lot of people had had success with that. And I had my first session and had a panic attack immediately following. I was like, no, this isn't working. Called her and she was like, well, it's because your body isn't used to being relaxed in the hypnotic state because you're so used to being ready to go. By my second session with her, the furthest I got in a panic attack was maybe like some heightened anxiety, and haven't had any since.
What?
How fucking crazy is that, you guys? She gets people to stop smoking. I know a lot of people have had success with hypnotherapy for audition nerves, stage fright, things like that. If you're somebody who's got a New Year's resolution and you are concerned with, I don't know, you're eating too much, you're not eating enough, or you need to exercise, or whatever is your thing. If you're struggling with anxiety, any of that sort of stuff, I just like can't tell you. It was a real lifesaver last year. And I just feel like people should know, because I was sort of, I know I'm like super hippy dippy and everyone's, I'm like, woo woo.
Are you hippy dippy?
I think so, but I'm not, but I'm always like skeptical about it. Okay. Like I'm always like, eh. And then I'm like, hypnotherapy. Because I think that people are like, hypnotherapy, Audrey, really?
I mean, I have a knee-jerk eye roll to that.
Yeah, and I did too. But that's how I come into it, is I'm always like, oh, whatever.
But it worked.
It fucking worked, you guys.
Wow.
Like fast. Because I was like hoping that I was like hoping eventually it would work. But like 2 sessions, it was like 5 days later.
Holy balls.
How fucking balls, right, you guys? And then like for those 2 months, I was having like recurring panic attacks. Yeah. Wow. Mildly interesting, guys. Hypnotherapy. It works. All right, you guys. I just want to thank you so much. She has a nanny taking care of that baby right now, so we can hang out.
Cody is his name. Yes. And Cody would be very glad to hear that I'm going to let you know that we sing your theme song to him as Cody's a bear face and bears don't know anything.
Yay, I love that. It's a catchy tune, you guys.
It is a catchy tune.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions for Kate or any for me, go ahead and email me at audreyhelpsactors@gmail.com and I will happily answer whatever you got. All right. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Audrey.
Jazzy!
That's what I do.
I'm done. Next week on Audrey Helps Actors, we talk to Ethan Crenshaw. Ethan is a Phase 1 actor. I just love this little Ethan, you guys. He's just so great. And by little, I mean he's like 6'4". But I just love him to death. And he has been writing me questions for a while now. And so we had him on the show. If you or someone you know is a Phase 1 actor, I can't recommend this episode enough to you. Also, if you are an actor of any phase and you feel like you're behind in your career, this is also going to be a great episode for you. We talk a lot about the curse of feeling like you're behind and how to change that attitude problem. So I think you're going to love it. He's super fabulous. And give a listen. Also, shout out to Kate Siegel. I thought this was a great episode, you guys. Didn't you love this episode? We're just 2 ladies having a chat about our lives. Also, because no matter how much of a feminist you are, and I can attest to this, you just love it when somebody's like, you look so skinny. So Kate, from me to you, you look so skinny. And thank you for your generosity in this episode. You're so generous with your knowledge, your time, your transparency. Thank you. This show is produced and edited by Jesse Lumen. Oh, he's so handsome. Special thanks to Thomas Snodgrass for the mic assistance here and there. He's so generous with his mic. Good to have your sound guy across the street, you guys. And thanks to Aalok Mehta for some help with the theme song. Music this week and every week by Ari De Niro. And most importantly, don't forget your towel.